What's up guys, my name is Matthew and today we're doing my May wrap up. All right, I know this is late. Every time I went to go film this, I was too tired and I didn't have the energy. I still don't have the energy, so I apologize in advance if I do not have the same enthusiasm as I normally do in my videos, but I will try to push through. Second, I am very much aware that I'm wearing a creepy kitty cat shirt. It's one of my nighttime shirts, deal with it. Third, we hit 1,000 subscribers, which is super exciting, and I never thought I would actually get people to watch my videos. I'm still convinced that my mom makes fake YouTube accounts and subscribes to my channel just so I don't feel like a loser. But regardless, I am very thankful for everyone who subscribes, watches my videos. Honestly, thank you so much for leaving the comments, the likes, it really does help. And before making a YouTube channel, I didn't realize how much commenting on people's videos, subscribing, liking really does affect a person's channel. So thank you everyone who leaves comments, likes, subscribes. It really does make a difference and really boosts my ego, and I'm very thankful for all of it. Yeah, I never thought I would get subscribers. I've been on YouTube. I started on June 29th of last year. So I hit 1,000 subscribers within a year, which is really exciting. But yeah, I didn't do this for subscribers, but it's very nice to know that there's human beings out there watching my videos that I put out on the internet. So again, thank you so much. And please keep on commenting, liking, and subscribing so that my channel can grow and more people can find, you know, the types of books I'm into and more people will find my channel. To the books. I had a all over the place reading month. I have all my books right here and I'm looking at some of these books and I feel like I read them years ago. That's how I feel like May was just so long. Maybe because we're like already in June that I'm like, feel like I haven't read these in so long. But I have a few DNFs, I have some 5 stars, I have some mediocre books, I had all over the place. So I'm gonna try to do them in order of what I read them, and obviously everything will be timestamped for you because I'm a big believer in timestamps and not wasting our times. So let's start with the first book. I received a ARC copy of How to Fake It in Hollywood by Ava Wilder. This comes out June 14th, so in like a week after this video has been published. But yeah, so this book, the first fourth of the book, I was like, oh, this is gonna be one of those romances that gets me my feels. I'm here for it. It's about Hollywood. I thought this book was okay, but I do think that it will be a Goodreads romance book of the year. I think most people, especially if you're a romance reader, will like this book. I just got really bored at parts. What is this book about? This book is about a girl named Gray, who is like a TV star on like a popular teen, you know, drama. Like think like Gossip Girl or Pretty Little Liars or Secret Life of the American Teenagers, that kind of vibe. But her show has ended. So she's kind of like in a lull with her career. And then we have a guy named Ethan Atkins. Ethan Atkins is a little bit more of a successful, older actor. Think like Bradley Cooper. He's won, I think an Oscar. I don't know if he won an Oscar. He won like one of those popular awards. And he's a little bit more established, but he is kind of in a slump where he's kind of, you know, an alcoholic. He hasn't acted in a long time. He got in a nasty divorce. So he's just kind of in a lull with his life. And their agents decide they're gonna set them up to fake date to get them out into the social scene again so that hopefully they can both pick up movie deals and get their acting career, you know, back started. So the trope is that it's fake dating. I feel like I've read a lot of fake dating tropes. Oh, this is not good. We are on book number 1 and I'm already losing my voice. We have done a lot of fake dating tropes, but like, does this actually exist in real life? Do people fake date? Because I have never heard of that. I've only heard of it in books and movies, but let me know if you have ever had to fake date someone. I love the Hollywood vibes. I love books set about like movie stars, singers. I love reading about that. So I was really feeling those vibes. I didn't buy their relationship, and you know, it follows the similar tropes of what you expect with fake dating, so I'm not gonna spoil anything, but you can obviously guess where this book goes. But yeah, it didn't really give me the butterflies. I wasn't really buying their relationship. I thought the plot was interesting and I liked, you know, what it's about. So all in all, I ended up giving it 3 stars. And like I said, I do think most people will like this book. So if you are a romance reader and you like reading about Hollywood, I would definitely recommend How to Fake It in Hollywood that's coming out next week. The next book I read in May is Emily Henry's Book Lovers, which was one of my most anticipated books of 2022. I am a huge fan of Emily Henry, so I was very looking forward to jumping into this book. I did a complete reading vlog on this book and another hyped May release, and I'll link it up here somewhere so you can watch that if you haven't seen it. My thoughts. I gave this 3 stars. It is definitely my least favorite Emily Henry book so far. Was it a bad book? No, I think it was very good, and I think most people will like it, but there was just something about this book that didn't get me in my feels like the other two Emily Henry books that I've read got me in my feels. There's something was missing. And I wanted to love it. I wanted to be in all my feels, but it fell flat for me. What is this book about? It's about a woman named Nora Stevens, and she is a badass literary agent, cutthroat, cold, boss-ass bitch in the literary world. And every time she dates someone, she gets left by the boyfriend who meets, some random girl while he's on vacation or out, doing something, kind of like a Hallmark movie where the boy or girl goes to a small town and starts dating, the baker or the Christmas shop seller or whatever, some stupid Hallmark movie. She always loses the boys to that like really, wholesome person, wholesome girl. So she's just tired of dating. She keeps getting told she's cold and not lovable and stuff like that. So going into this book, I was like, yeah, I'm down, I'm into this. And there's this guy named, what's his name? Yeah, I'm really bad with names. A guy named Charlie, and Charlie is also a literary agent. They go to this small town, not together. Nora goes and Charlie ends up being there, and the small town's very Hallmarky. And it's supposed to be a hate to love, but it's really not a hate to love. They just had a really rocky start. And then, they're a friendship and maybe a relationship blossoms out of it. There's a lot of side plots with a sister relationship that was well done. I talked a lot more in detail in that vlog, so I'm not gonna spend too much time talking about this book. But where it fell flat for me is that I felt like it was making fun of Hallmark movies, but then towards the end, I felt like I was reading a book about a Hallmark movie. So it was like making fun of itself, but at the same time, I think it got lost in that it turned into what it was making fun of. But what it does have is it has that Emily Henry banter that she's known for. I think what Emily Henry is most known for is like that banter between the two characters going back and forth, like trying to outsmart each other. If you love the banter, it's very much prevalent in this book. Compared to her other two books, I think my rating for all three that I've read is this. I think People Who Meet on Vacation is my favorite, followed by Beach Read, then Book Lovers. So yeah, it was a 3-star for me. Wasn't groundbreaking. Will it be in Goodreads top books of the year? 100%. Will most people like it? If you're a romance reader, I think you will like this book. So the next book that I read for that May hyped book release vlog that I did this month is I Kissed Shara Wheeler by Casey McQuiston. And I was pleasantly surprised by this book. It's a young adult book, so I was going into this very hesitant. Casey McQuiston wrote Red, White, and Royal Blue. I didn't pull that. But that's one of my favorite male-male romances, so I was optimistic, but at the same time nervous because I don't really do well with young adult books, especially young adult romance books. This book is about a girl named Chloe who is from California, and she moves to this Alabama town, and she's kind of, she's openly typical. Stop. She's openly bisexual, and she's almost valedictorian, but her only competition is a girl named Shara Wheeler. And Shara Wheeler kisses Chloe the day before Shara Wheeler disappears. And Shara Wheeler is like, no one really knows where she went. It's not like a Gone Girl or like the police are involved. Like Shara Wheeler's parents are not concerned that she's missing, so it's not a thriller by any means, but there is a mystery of, where Shara Wheeler went. She also kissed 2 other people, including her boyfriend, before she disappeared. And Chloe and the 2 boys that she also kissed get together and try to figure out what happened to Shara Wheeler, why did she kiss them? And that's kind of the plot of the book. We're trying to figure out, Shara Wheeler's like giving them clues to try to figure things out. And I'm actually shocked I like this book because it's so freaking young adult, but it's very like LGBTQ. I mean, I think there's gay, lesbian, bisexual, non-binary. I don't think there's transgender representation, but I might be forgetting. And yeah, it was very well done. It's very cute. I kind of figured out what was going on halfway through, and once I figured out what was going on, I got like, oh, that's kind of cute. It was cute. So yeah, this book worked for me. I'm hearing mixed reviews from other people saying that, they didn't really like it. So go in with caution. It's either gonna work for you or it's not. But yeah, I really liked it. So the next book I read was All Boys Are in Blue by George M. Johnson. I actually listened to this on audio because I like listening to memoirs. Like I like having the author tell me their story, like listening to the audio. So this book is about a guy named George Johnson who shares his story about growing up gay and growing up Black in America. And I really, really enjoyed it. There were parts that were really funny and there were parts that were really awful and terrible. And he did a good job of mixing it together and kind of showing his story, showing the struggles, showing where he came from. We actually have similar stories in the sense that his relationship with his grandma was very similar to my relationship to my grandma, and then his relationship or like just situation going to like a Catholic school was very similar to my situation. So I found I related to a lot I related to a lot of the stories that he was telling, and I found it really enjoyable. If you're looking, you know, to get into more LGBTQ books, especially for Pride Month, this is definitely one I would recommend, especially if you're looking for nonfiction. Very well done. Yeah, kind of crucial to the theme. I'm reading this up. It says, how to reconcile his blackness and his queerness, and how sometimes those identities go head to head, and how he dealt with that growing up. Yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and I would definitely recommend it if you're looking for a nonfiction memoir about being Black and gay in America. The next book I read in May was Sundial by Catriona Ward, and this was actually gifted to me by Linda off my Amazon wish list. Thank you, Linda. I'm also shocked that people send me books. Like, I put it on there, not expecting people to send me books, and people have actually sent me books, and it's shocking, and it's so like nice. And I'm like, every time I get it in the mail, I'm like shocked, and I'm just like very like touched, and I'm telling all my friends like, somebody sent me a book that doesn't really know me. So thank you so much, Linda. It means a lot, and I appreciate it. This is the second Catriona Ward book I read. Last year I read The Last House on Needless Street, and I had the same feeling for both of these books. Catriona Ward, what she does is completely disorients you, so where you don't know what the hell you're reading, and it's just very confusing, and you're very confused. And at the end, there's a huge twist, and like everything comes together. It took you 200, 300 pages to figure out what you were reading. And it bothers me because I like reading both of these books I did not enjoy, because I don't like being completely in the dark. I think this one, not so much as this one, but yeah, I was very confused, and it frustrates me because I do like when the author's hiding details from us and then obviously, you know, gives us some twists. But with her writing, it's like she's purposely trying to confuse you and leave you completely disoriented, and it makes the reading experience for me not enjoyable. But then the twist comes and you're like, oh shit, that's a really good twist. So I'm very conflicted. I ended up giving this 3 stars. It just was like confusing for me, and I couldn't get into it, and I don't know. But this is about a woman named Rob who has 2 daughters, and one of the daughters collects bones and is kind of creepy, and she takes her daughter back to this place called Sundial where Rob grew up. And there's weird things. She sees a lot in her daughter that reminds her of her childhood and her past, and we get flashbacks to the time when Rob was a child and she was at Sundial and the weird stuff that happened at Sundial. I did kind of guess one of the twists in this book just by the way it was happening in the past, but there were some shocking twists at the end that were like, whoa, did not see that coming. But yeah, so we're dealing with her creepy kid. We're getting stories about her in the past at Sundial and how she was raised and what happened at Sundial. So it was enjoyable, but like I said, I was very confused and it was hard for me to get into it because I was so confused. So if you liked The Last House on Needless Street, I would say you're probably gonna like this, but just go into it knowing you're gonna be really confused, you're not gonna know what's going on, but then there's gonna be some shocking twist at the end, and you're gonna be like, oh shit. But yeah, that's how I felt, and I liked it. Will I read another Catriona Ward book? I don't know. I would have to get really good reviews because I'm just not a fan of being completely in the dark when I'm reading a book. But yeah, thank you again, Linda, for sending me that book. I really appreciate it. So the next book I tried to read this month was Karin Slaughter's TripTych. I don't know how to say that word. But yeah, I ended up being up in this book. This is the first in the Will Grant series. I think that's what it's called. Will Trent series. And it didn't work for me. I didn't enjoy it. It's very, stop it. It's very copy, detective-y, and everyone I felt like in this book was a man. There are females in this book, but it just felt very like, I was shocked that Karin Slaughter wrote this book because it did not feel like the Karin Slaughter books that I really enjoy. Yeah, I ended up being up in it, and I looked up the spoilers. It was so hard to figure out a spoiler to this book. Like, it's not anywhere, but I figured out what the twist was, and it is a good twist. So I see why people like this book, but I was just so bored. It felt like a film noir where it's like, picture like cops in like a detective black and white movie, and everyone's smoking cigarettes and they're like talking to the, you know, the person who's suspected of murder. That's the vibe I got for this book. I mean, it felt like it was so dated. Like, I felt like I was reading about something from the 1970s, but it was set in around 2006, I believe. Yeah, and like they also said the N-word multiple times throughout the book, and it felt weird. The book, I didn't enjoy it. I couldn't get into it. It's another book set in Atlanta. There's cops that are trying to figure out who is this person, like a serial killer, killing people around the town, chopping up women, and chopping their tongues out and stuff. And it's your typical serial killer book. And then Will Trent is like this famous detective, and he comes in town to try to help out the local police. And I'm assuming Will Trent is going to be in all of the later books as you try to figure, he helps out people in the detective stories. But yeah, I usually don't have a problem with detectives in books. I was just really did not enjoy this one. I did not like the vibe of the book. I felt like I was reading a black and white book. That makes no sense, but that's how I'm explaining it. Like, you know how you're watching a black and white movie? That's what it felt like reading this book. But yeah, I didn't really enjoy it, and I don't really want to talk about it anymore, so we're gonna move on. So the next book I read, God, I feel like I read this book years ago, is Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hillier. I talked about this in my thriller recommendation video that I just released, but I really love this book. I gave it 5 stars. I have been sleeping on Jennifer Hillier. I actually have 2 books on my nightstand that I'm gonna get to. It's Little Secrets. I heard nothing but good about this one. And then this was the book of the month, Things We Do in the Dark. I think this comes out in July, but I'm definitely gonna be reading those soon because I love this book and I hope the other books are just as good. So the story opens up in a courtroom and Georgina is sitting on the stand and she's testifying how she knows what happened to her best friend Angela 14 years ago. That she was dating a guy named Calvin, why do I always forget his name? Calvin something, but he's a notorious serial killer. And she was dating the serial killer at the time, and she knows that Calvin killed her friend Angela, and she's been holding on to the secret for many years. So the police figured out that Calvin was the killer for Angela because they put pieces together. You find out during the story. But Georgina goes to jail for 5 years for being kind of an accomplice to this crime. And we get a part of the story where she's in jail, and I just loved reading about her in jail. I mean, I read a book this month too that was set partially in jail and I hated it. But this book in jail, I loved it. It was just such a interesting, and I really enjoyed just the dynamics of the prisoners in jail and just what jail life was like. She gets out of jail after 5 years. So we're part of the book, like 4th of the book, she's in jail. We get out of jail and murders start happening again, similar to what Calvin would do in the past. So people are like, is Calvin killing people again? What's happening? And we're going back and forth between the past and like what led up to the murder of Angela, and then the present, like what's happening with the present people getting murdered. I'm doing a poor job explaining it. I think I explained it better in that other video, so go watch that. I'm getting a little tired. I just loved it. I really, really enjoyed the book. I loved the character development. I loved the twists. I loved the writing style. It's written in 3rd person. I realized that I like thrillers written in 3rd person because the author can hide things. Because there's a lot of this book, if we were in Georgina's head, you couldn't hide certain things. And because it's written in 3rd person, the author was able to pull the wool over our eyes and trick us with a bunch of things, and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I highly recommend this book. I gave it 5 stars. I'm gonna read more from this author, and yeah, I definitely recommend it. The Boys Club by Eric Katz. This book, I mean, I don't know what I was expecting going in, but I loved it. And I can't decide if I loved it because it's about a young lawyer and I am a young lawyer, or just it's a really good book. I've talked to some bookish friends who've also read this book who aren't lawyers and they loved it. So I think in general, it's a great book. And I think it's a thriller. This is what I'm struggling with because it's more of a contemporary, but there are some like really like thrilling or just like shocking things that happen in this book that will leave you on the edge of your seat, some twists, and just like you're rooting for the main character, and there's some really evil people in this book. What is this book about? This book is about a girl named Alex, who is a Harvard Law School graduate. She's your typical type A, high-strung lawyer, and she's starting in big law. I loved it because I just thought the way that this author talked about law firms and culture at law firms and the politics of law firms was so on point. Like, I was just like underlining like, oh my God, this is so true. I read the little like about me, and it said that this is a pseudonym for a, you know, Columbia Law School graduate, and she is, she recovered from one large law firm, and now she's employed at another large law firm. So she's actually a lawyer, and it shows in her books because it is so well done. Anyway, this girl Alex, I'm like really excited about this book because I absolutely loved it. This girl Alex starts at a huge law firm, and she just gets sucked in, and she knows she's trying to like compete with all the new other lawyers, and there's backstabbing, and all the partners of this firm are kind of shady, and you have to go out with the clients, and you have to make the money, and I'm probably doing a terrible job of describing this book, and you're probably sitting there like, Matthew, I would rather watch paint dry than read about culture at a law firm. And that's a fair point. But I'm just letting you know that this is the best book that I've read set in a law firm. This author does, like, all the things a baby lawyer thinks about, this author does a great job of just, like, capturing all that in a character. And I just loved it. Yeah, I'm getting all my law school friends to read it because it was just so well done. But yes, The Boys Club by Erica Katz. Definitely read this one. So the next book that I read this month is My Year of Rest and Relaxation, and I really enjoyed this book. I think I gave it somewhere between a 3 and a 4 stars. And this is about a girl who's a Columbia graduate, and she just got broken up with her boyfriend. And she decides that she wants to have a year of rest and relaxation. And how she's gonna do that is she's going to drug herself so that she can sleep for an entire year. And she finds this like quack of a psychiatrist who prescribes her every drug under the sun. Like, it's scary how much drugs this woman is doing. And some of the drugs are made up, because I was like Googling them because I'd never even heard of them. Some of them are drugs you'll like be familiar with. But she takes a crazy amount of drugs because she wants to sleep all day, because she wants to cleanse herself so that she can become a new person in a year. And people online are reviewing this book saying like, this is the most depressing book I've ever read. This girl is abusing drugs and sleeping all the time. Okay, this book is satire. Like, it's not supposed to be taken literal. And obviously a doctor is not gonna prescribe that many pills, or I mean, they should lose their license if they do. And it is just so, I don't know the word to explain what it is. I just really enjoyed it. You're just watching this girl go downhill, waking up, taking pills and like waking up and like having purchases and not remembering days on end because she was on like sleeping pills and all kinds of mixtures of cocktails of pills, and just her year of rest and relaxation. It's set in like early 2000s New York, and I guessed where this book was going. You probably can too. Yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. Do I understand all of what this book was symbolizing? I like read reviews, and I don't really know what this book was about or what I was supposed to get out of it, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was very funny, but it's like not funny because, I mean, it's this girl like abusing drugs and sleeping all the time. But yeah, it's not for everyone. I think some people will hate this book. It's definitely not a book that's in my comfort zone or something that goes with my channel. I don't read books like this, but I saw somebody on, his name is something like Bar and Bookshelf or something. He's a booktuber. I'm really bad. I'll link it down below. But he's also a lawyer, but we have not similar reading tastes at all. But I was watching one of his videos, and this is one of his favorite books of all time. He like recommended it, so I was like, screw it. I'm going to the library and I'm gonna get it. And I read it and I enjoyed it. I also realized the library is 3 blocks from me, so I don't know why I've not been utilizing my library because I live so close to it. So hopefully I'll be doing more library books. What is this book about? I don't know. I missed the point, I think, but I had a good time reading it. And that's all that matters, right? If you're like me, you are obsessed with Heartstopper. You've watched the series multiple times. You've read the books multiple times. And I finally finished the most up-to-date novella from Alice Oseman, Nick and Charlie. And this is after the comic series. This is the time when Charlie and Nick are struggling with Nick going off to college because Nick is a year older, and kind of how Charlie's depressed because he's gonna lose Nick to college, and kind of that's, that story. The novellas, this is the second novella I've read where they do have comics like in it, but it's mostly, I mean, look, this looks like a middle grade book. I should have been able to finish this in like 20 minutes, but it took me multiple days because I was kind of bored. But then I would say towards the end, I got on my feels. It got really good towards the end. It had that very cutesy Heartstopper vibes. So I'm all caught up with Heartstopper. I think there's one more comic series coming out, who knows when. But yeah, if you're part of the, into the Heartstopper world, you're gonna wanna read this. But I think this is the latest book in the series of kind of Nick and Charlie's story. I've also been watching on YouTube, there's a guy, I don't know his name. As you can tell, I don't know people's names. He plays one of the characters. The character in the book, in the movies, who like reads books, and every movie scene he's in, a TV scene he's in, he's like reading a book. Isaac, his name's Isaac. The actor has a vlog, and he has vlogs of them filming Heartstopper, and it's so good. They're little like 15-minute vlogs. I'll try to also link that down below, where you can just watch them on set filming, and it's so cute. And these kids are like so wholesome. The whole thing is just so wholesome, and I love it. But yes, those are all of the books I have read in May. And again, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for helping me get to 1,000 subscribers. If you aren't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you've read any of these books, if you agree or disagree with me, and I will see you guys in another video soon.